What happens when an archaeological dig goes too deep? In 1979, the Chinese military uncovered a secret hidden beneath the crushing ice of the Kunlun Mountains. It wasn't oil. It wasn't gold. It was a graveyard of impossible alien proportions. Today, we are breaking down the 2015 sci-fi fantasy film, Chronicle of the Ghostly Tribe. This story doesn't just span miles of treacherous terrain, it spans years of government cover-ups, genetic mutations, and a terrifying interdimensional threat that almost wiped a town off the map. Dim the lights, check your corners, and welcome back to ReelRewire. Let's unearth the timeline. The year is 1979. We find ourselves amidst a massive government-funded excavation deep in the unforgiving snow-capped Kunlun Mountains near the Mongolian border. This is where we meet our protagonist, Hu Bai, an earnest young PLA soldier working the perilous dig site. Bai is smitten with a beautiful nurse named Yang Ping, the daughter of the expedition's obsessive lead scientist, Professor Yang. The operation in Cave Number 3 is tense. The military isn't just digging through rock. They are unearthing colossal, fossilized skeletons. These aren't dinosaurs. They possess a skeletal structure that defies earthly taxonomy, horned, winged, and terrifyingly massive. But the mountain fights back. A freak, catastrophic explosion rips through the cavern, collapsing the main tunnels, burying soldiers alive, and halting the entire operation. Driven by a fanatical need for discovery, Professor Yang refuses to turn back. He gathers a small volunteer expedition to venture deeper into the unexplored, highly unstable fissures. Bai, desperate to protect Ping, steps forward. Joining them is a pragmatic man named Sun Quanfu. What they find beyond the rubble defies human history. They emerge into a cyclopean cavern, a massive, ancient graveyard for these prehistoric beasts. But they aren't alone. As they navigate the skeletal remains, the walls seem to come alive. A swarm of tiny, luminescent blue creatures, the fire bats, descends upon them. These aren't normal animals. They are supernatural sentinels. Anyone touched by a bat is instantly incinerated in a burst of roaring supernatural blue flame. The team is decimated in seconds. Panicking, the survivors trigger a localized avalanche, sending them sliding down a treacherous network of underground ice chutes. When they finally crash into the pitch-black depths, only 4 remain: Bai, Ping, Professor Yang, and Sun Quanfu. They have landed at the foot of the 9-story Demon Tower, an ancient mythological structure that Professor Yang has spent his entire life searching for. It marks the threshold of the ghostly tribe. Driven by a terrifying zeal, Yang instructs Bai and Ping to approach the tower with him. He begins a ritualistic process, attempting to unlock the door to the demon world. Realizing the apocalyptic danger, Sun Quanfu physically intervenes, desperately trying to stop the portal from opening. In the ensuing physical struggle, the cavern's fragile equilibrium shatters. The ground violently collapses. The group is forced to flee, plummeting into a massive, churning subterranean lake. As they struggle in the freezing water, a colossal, living prehistoric beast breaches the surface. Its massive jaws snap shut around Yang Ping, dragging her into the black depths. Professor Yang vanishes in the swirling, freezing currents. Hu Bai, battered, freezing, and utterly broken, is the sole survivor to crawl back to the military base. 3 heavy years pass. It is now 1982. Bai has been discharged and reassigned to the capital city of Beijing. He is now working under the watchful eye of Bureau 749, a highly classified shadowy government organization dedicated to researching supernatural and extraterrestrial anomalies. Bai is a man hollowed out by grief, haunted by the memory of Ping slipping beneath the water. He is abruptly whisked away from his mundane routine by a mysterious figure known only as Mr. Wang, who offers Bai a research position at the secluded Huaxia Library. In this dusty, forgotten archive, Bai discovers a trove of Professor Yang's old manuscripts. The texts detail the professor's obsessive research into the demon world and an ancient curse. The past, it seems, is refusing to stay buried. But Beijing isn't all gloom for Bai. He serendipitously crosses paths with his childhood best friend Wang Kaishuan, better known as Fatty. In a stark contrast to Bai's grim existence, Fatty is now working as a flamboyant, loud-mouthed cabaret singer. Fatty brings a much-needed spark of humanity to Bai's life, but the invisible hand of Bureau 749 continues to pull their strings. Meanwhile, hundreds of miles away, an archaeological team makes a chilling discovery in an ancient tomb. They unearth a living woman. She possesses no memory of who she is or how she got there, but she goes by the name Shirley. The twist that shatters Bai's reality? Shirley is the absolute, flawless, identical mirror image of the deceased Yang Ping. Bureau 749 immediately secures her, placing her under the observation of a brilliant young scientist named Chen Dong. The pieces of the puzzle are slowly assembling, but the picture they form is terrifying. Another 3 years pass, bringing us to the pivotal year of 1985. The impossible happens. Professor Yang, presumed dead at the bottom of the Kunlun Lake 6 years ago, is found wandering in Shanxi province, a staggering 2,000 kilometers from the original dig site. But he is no longer entirely human. His body is undergoing a grotesque, gradual mutation corrupted by the energy of the demon world. Simultaneously, Bureau 749 intercepts horrific, frantic reports from the remote northern desert. An isolated oil extraction settlement, Petroleum town, has been completely ravaged. The attackers aren't human. They are massive, ferocious hybrid monsters known as red howlers, creatures that look like a terrifying cross between a prehistoric reptile and a rabid wolf. The time for library research is over. Bureau 749 dispatches a heavily armed strike team to the abandoned oil town. Bai is called back into action. He is joined by a now battle-ready Fatty Wang, the scientist Chen Dong, and the mysterious Shirley, whose unexplained connection to the ghostly tribe makes her the most valuable and dangerous asset on the board. As the team enters the desolate oil town, the tension is suffocating. This isn't an archaeological dig anymore. It's a war zone. The Red Howlers are incredibly fast, brutally strong, and hunt with a terrifying, pack-minded intelligence. The siege begins the moment the sun dips below the horizon. The Red Howlers ambush the team, crashing through the reinforced walls of an old theater. The sequence is a masterclass in survival horror. Fatty Wang drops his cabaret persona entirely, wielding a heavy machine gun and laying down suppressive fire to cover the team's desperate retreat. Bai relies on his dormant military instincts, navigating the claustrophobic alleys to bottleneck the massive beasts and trigger improvised explosives. Amidst the carnage, the horrifying truth about Shirley begins to surface. She is not a clone, nor is she a reincarnated Ping. She is a vessel. The bloodline of the Yang family carries the genetic key to the ghostly tribe. Professor Yang's mutation and his sudden reappearance were not accidents. He has been operating in the shadows, orchestrating the final phase of his lifelong obsession. He intends to use Shirley to permanently tear open the gateway between their worlds. The climax brings Bai back to where his nightmare started, staring down an ancient, alien gateway. Professor Yang, his mind fully corrupted by the influence of the ghostly tribe, has triggered the portal in a subterranean temple beneath the desert. A legion of red howlers guards the chamber, awaiting the arrival of their ancient masters from the other side. Bai and the surviving members of Bureau 749 launch a desperate, all-or-nothing final assault. While Fatty and Chen Dong hold off the monstrous pack in a brutal firefight, Bai fights his way through the energy field to the center of the altar. He must choose between saving humanity and destroying the woman who wears the face of his only love. In a heartbreaking, tense confrontation, Bai calls out to Shirley, desperately trying to break through the alien consciousness controlling her. For a brief, tragic moment, a spark of humanity, a flicker of the warmth that belonged to Ping, surfaces in Shirley's eyes. Realizing the apocalyptic threat of the open portal, Shirley uses her immense power to turn against the professor. She destabilizes the energy field from the inside out. The portal violently collapses inward. A massive shockwave shatters the temple, burying the gateway, crushing the red howlers, and entombing Professor Yang's madness under millions of tons of shifting desert sand. The film concludes not with a triumphant victory, but with a quiet, somber resolution. Hu Bai and Fatty survive the collapse, escaping the tomb and returning to the surface. Shirley survives as well, free from the possession of the Demon Queen. In the final poignant scenes, we see Hu Bai standing alone in the snow, mirroring the very beginning of our story in the Kunlun Mountains. He is visiting a makeshift memorial. He has finally come to terms with the truth. Yang Ping died beneath the ice in 1979. Shirley may share her face and perhaps a fragment of her soul, but she is her own person. Bai leaves the past behind, making peace with his grief. Bureau 749 classifies the entire Petroleum Town incident, wiping the existence of the ghostly tribe from the history books once again. The world goes on, completely unaware of how close it came to extinction. But for Hu Bai, the veil has been lifted. He knows what waits in the dark, uncharted corners of the world, setting the stage for his future life as a legendary tomb explorer. Chronicle of the Ghostly Tribe brilliantly uses its distinct 1979, 1982, and 1985 timelines to show how an ancient, buried horror slowly bleeds into the modern world. It's a creature feature wrapped in the intense paranoia of government secrecy. If you want more deep dive recaps where we untangle the timelines of your favorite sci-fi and fantasy films, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment below. Which cinematic universe should ReelRewire cover next? Until then, keep digging, but watch what you uncover.